Welcome to Spa. Welcome back to Spa for the ADAC GT Masters. Off the back of a hugely entertaining Red Bull Ring, which ended up being a bit of a Lamborghini fest, which broke the mould that the Corvette had set the previous 2 years by Spielberg being their track. We're here at Spa now, who at the end of 60 minutes will take first honours in the two ADAC GT Masters races that we have to come this weekend. Race 1 is about to get underway. Some new drivers in the grid. As always, the grid with some beautiful GT machinery. And talking of beautiful GT machinery, the encyclopedia of GT motor racing is alongside me this weekend. David Addison, you're going to love this.
Well, it's a great circuit, it's a great championship and a great entry, which includes Bernd Schneider, double Spa 24 hours winner there, who was fastest in qualifying 2 for the pro drivers, the higher graded drivers, and he's going to be a man to watch when he gets aboard the HP Racing car, which is started in this 1 hour race by Harry Protchik. Of course, mandatory pit stops, and the championship leaders going into this race, Sebastian Asch and Luca Ludwig, with the Zakspeed Mercedes, and there it is on the grid. It's on, indeed, pole position after the first qualifying session yesterday that dictated this grid. And as you say, Dave Richardson, Spa is added to the calendar once more, and we've not been here since 2013 with this championship, and it's a circuit that always delivers fantastic racing, and this is a bit of a warm-up act, in a sense, to the 24 hours in a month's time.
Well, and of course, back in 2013, I think it was the Lambda Performance GT40 which did the winning then, as we look at Jens Klingmann. And now we look at Martin Ragginger, who is going to be in this Porsche. Last time out, alongside Klaus Bachler, it was the current Porsche Carrera Cup champion, Philipp Eng. But Ragginger alongside Klaus Bachler, as we turn our attention now to P4 on the grid for Stefan Wackerbauer and Kelvin van der Linde, who will propel that car in the second part of this race. The mandatory pit stop comes up between 25 and 35 minutes into the race. Had a chat with Christian Abt at the Red Bull Ring, and the Red Bull Ring, not one of those circuits that favoured the Audis, that's for sure. Next up, this beautiful Bentley Continental GT3. It shakes your fillings as it goes past the commentary booth, that's for sure. Luca Strolz and Jeroen Bleekemolen peddling that one.
And it's run, of course, by HTP, forsaking Mercedes in order to go with Bentley for this year. And there is a car to watch as well, because not only does it sound fantastic, and the BMW Z4 is a really charismatic GT shape, it's got 2 fine drivers. Claudia Hürtgen, whose GT career goes back to the early 1990s and the old BPR Global GT series, and Uwe Altzen will do the second stint. And Uwe Altzen is one of the most spectacular drivers. Of course, he drove for Mercedes in the DTM. He was a race winner in the FIA GT Championship, and a regular race winner in Carrera Cup Deutschland and in the Super Cup, so he's one to watch. And then next on the grid, Florian Stoll in the Audi that he shares with Mark Bossang.
And then alongside it's the car of Daniel Dobic and Edward Sandstrom that we see next. That's at Cave Styler 24 MS Racing Audi.
But Sebastian Asch will go first in the Mercedes that is run by Team Zakspeed. Of course, second generation drivers both, Roland Asch and Klaus Ludwig's sons. It doesn't Luca Ludwig look like his dad, you have to say.
Oh, absolute spitter, isn't he?
Absolutely so. And Luca Ludwig will go second in that car. Of course, Sebastian Asch and Luca Ludwig both graded silver, so normally it is the lower graded driver who goes first, where you've got the same grading that they can choose. Of course, there is also handicap weight to factor in based on previous results, and so that car on pole position carries an extra 15 kilos, whereas the BMW alongside has an extra 30 kilos of weight on the second row of the grid. The Raginger Backler Porsche has 40, 30 of which are 10 of which are based on success ballast, but also 30 of which come by Martin Raginger being a new driver into the championship. So you add it together, and that Porsche becomes distinctly lardy.
Yes, and as we're on board with Jens Klingmann then in the Team Schubert BMW Z4 GT3, heading down towards the uphill section of Eau Rouge, and it's not until you stand at the bottom of that you realise just how steep and what a climb that is. Cars on their formation lap. So we stay on board with Jens Klingmann. Cars weaving from side to side to try and generate some heat into the tyres. Now, Spa as its own little microclimate, really, and there's lots and lots of cloud around at the moment. It is dry out there on track, but whether that dryness will last 60 minutes, we'll wait and see. Asch and Klingmann on the front row of the grid. Then we see Raginger and Wackerbarits, Porsche and Audi, row 2. Luca Strolz and Claudia Herken, P5 and P6. Then it's Stoll and Dobic, 2 Audis together there, P7 and 8. Schmidt in the Bentley Continental and Guy Pell alongside with the Corvette of Assenheimer and the Mercedes of Prochik. Next row, then it's Jordan Lee Pepper and Scholzer alongside him with Vert and Marionek, P15 and 16. Remo Lips and Weishaupt, P17, 18. Then we see Bordeaux and Gassner, P19 and 20. You can see the dark clouds looming overhead, David Addison. And here at Spa, weather can always throw a curveball at you, can't it?
It can indeed, as there you see Sebastian Asch stand on the brakes and just lock up a little bit as he tries to urge some warmth through the tyres and then from the tyres through into the brakes as well. Yes, you're right. I mean, the weather can throw up anything in this. We've had a lot of rain this morning. The road is damp offline and it could catch out the unwary. It's a lot drier now than it has been, though, all day. But what you don't know, as you say, is what's going to happen in the remainder of the hour. And the worst thing for the drivers isn't just that it starts to rain, but it only does it at certain bits of the circuit.
Yes.
It's not a consistent grip level all the way round. That's really when life becomes very taxing indeed. A quick word of note before the race is underway is that we have lost, sadly, the Lamborghini that was out in qualifying yesterday of Reiter Engineering. It's the older Gallardo that David Russell, the Australian, was sharing with Steve Owen, another former V8 supercar racer, Steve the development champion many years ago, and that car stopped in the first session, caused a red flag, and I'm afraid has not been able to be sorted to get into the race, or races. So the Lamborghini with 2 much-travelled drivers, both from Australia, not to race. Big, big disappointment. But I'm afraid the Reiter Lamborghinis have their moments of being very quick and their moments of being very temperamental.
Well, they had a good time of it at the Red Bull Ring, that's for sure. And Russell did a great job with Thomas Enger. There we see the Bentley. What an awesome looking and sounding car that is. There is Uwe Olsen then, who is one of the most charismatic drivers. There's Klaus Ludwig and Luca Ludwig, and there you can see the likeness that was being described by David Addison just moments ago. There's the two together there in the garage as Sebastian Asch continues to light up the rear of that car, doesn't he?
It's interesting that Mercedes is so competitive because in other GT championships, the world has moved on and the Mercedes is not that strong a car, but with the right people and the right team operating it, I think that makes all the difference. But it's very much a car that these days is perceived as being good for the longer races, not necessarily the 1 hour sprints.
Okay. So, safety car has peeled off. They head up towards the lighting gantry and the timing line. For this, the first race of the ADAC GT Masters. Away we go and racing. Guy Pell, Frey, Audi on the outside from row 6 or 7, trying to look around the outside. That wasn't going to happen at the moment. The Mercedes gets very locked up at the back end, and that has allowed the Porsche to come through on the inside as they take the run down to Eau Rouge now. Who is going to end up in front? They are side by side.
It's going to be Asch just ahead of Raginger, and then slotting in third is Klingmann as they head uphill for the first time. Ragginger really on his toes, but have a look 4th and 5th as well, because now Stefan Wackerbauer tries to buy into this as one of the number 1 Audi. The red Audi goes to the outside of Klingmann, and Claudia Hürtgen in the BMW there. The black and turquoise car is in the mix as well, but Sebastian Asch hangs on in there. Up the inside of the Bentley now goes Lucas Strolz. Can they all get round Les Combes safely? Just about, although 1 or 2 run wide and have to come off the gas. But Ragginger in that Porsche, and don't forget it's got 40 kilos of weight on board. He's all over the back of Asch now.
Asch really is having to defend from Ragginger then. The Porsche looking so aggressive, and Ragginger looking aggressive as well. Very racy. Let's go on board, looking back at the Klingmann BMW then. The Z4, you can see there from this fantastic shot we're able to bring you as they run across the curves. Look how close they get.
Up the inside goes Klingmann. He's going to make the move into Pouin, and not only that, he's catching the top 2 as well.
So the top 2 then, it's Mercedes, Porsche at the moment, but there is nothing between them as around goes the Audi. Wackerbauer has spun it and into the wall. Well, there, perhaps he just tested the limits of adhesion. Too great on cold tyres, David. The Audi has gone around. Now, where that is positioned, is that going to be a safety car?
I would say it depends really on whether or not he can get that car going again, because although he's damaged it, he should be able to drive it off the grass from there if there's enough traction. There's a yellow flag in that sector, but we'll wait and see. He should be able to get going, I would have thought, but the safety car is going to be deployed. The safety car is deployed. So very early decision by the race director to bring out the safety car rather than risk anything. See, it's on the move. Murphy's Law.
So, you know, if we'd have waited perhaps 10 more seconds,
yeah,
perhaps. But there we are. You know, it's not our job to steward, but it does mean that, of course, it bunches them all back up again.
It also means that it's going to be 1 lap of safety car, because
you've got to do a lap.
But there's no point for it, so it'll be in very quickly. This is looking back. There was no contact, was there? Wackerbauer just didn't have enough heat in his tyres and was all committed to the battle he was having with Klingmann, and I'm afraid that was a bit of a rookie error. The good news is everybody missed him. Here it is from another angle. Look, he's just got the power down too soon. The back breaks away early. It's a lazy spin to begin with, but that's the real problem, that barrier.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to pit. They're going to have to sort out the damage. And just have a look how close Claudia Hürtgen and Lucas Strolz were to it, because if that car would have drifted the other way, that would have been Armageddon. But as it happened, it went the other way. Everybody managed to miss. This was Wackerbauer's view. So up the inside comes Klingmann, look, and Wackerbauer was put offline slightly, but I'm afraid that was his doing.
Well, Wackerbauer, of course, teaming up with the champion from last year, Kelvin van der Linde, and they've not had a brilliant season so far, that's for sure. There's a lot of damage to that, David. I'm not convinced that car's going to be back out again.
It won't be out for a few laps, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, if I were running the car, I'd get working on it.
Chuck it out for test.
Exactly, yeah. Because you're not going to salvage anything from the race, so just run it as a test session for race 2 tomorrow. You might as well. I mean, the fact that it still runs is good, but what you don't know is what damage it's done internally. Yeah. And it's the bits you can't see. There's the impact. So, in it comes with its slightly drunk rear wing and the rear damage as well. I mean, it is a runner, but let's see what the ABD team, and it's Christian ABD rather than ABD Sportline, of course, different side of the family, can do to get that back into the race. The first thing they'll do is assess the damage, probably swing the car straight to the box. Yes, it'll go to the garage, won't it, so they can all work on the car, but it's out of the race effectively. As I say, if it does rejoin, it will only be for a test session.
So, safety car deployed following that spin and collision with the barrier for Stefan Wackerbauer. And in the Christian ABD garage it goes. And safety car will come in this lap. Kelvin van der Linde, will he get a drive in this race? Well, that's down to how hard the engineers in the CABD racing organisation will work on that car.
Replay of the start. And have a look mid-grid. There was one of the Corvettes trying to get itself stuck in the middle as well. It was 3 wide into the first corner. It was nearly 4 wide. Ragginger was a real hero. And there you can see it was Patrick Assenheimer's Corvette that was the one that tried to go into a gap. They all survive it, but Asch came out of the corner with a little bit of opposite look, and then he got all sideways. That allowed Klingmann to have a go, but Ragginger, really good start. Martin Ragginger is a much underrated GT driver, winner of the Spa-Francorchamps back in 2010 for Porsche, and was able to defend from Klingmann, but he had to give way to Asch on the run into Eau Rouge there.
What amazed me was the Audi of Philippe Geipel. who was out on the grass at one point. He was trying to, you know, make the start-finish straight even wider than it was, but he managed to hold on, and despite being on the grass, and managed to get through.
And that's how close they were, because it turns the camera around, because they just touched. And this is looking back at Jens Klingmann's car. And Claudia Hurtgen in that mix as well. So frustration we've had that safety car, because the lead battle was teeing up nicely. We hadn't got a full lap out of it, really. So now we have to try again. And the safety car is in this lap. Of course, Sebastian Asch leads from Martin Ragginger, Jens Klingmann, Claudia Hurtgen, Luca Strolz. We go racing once more.
Here we go then. Sebastian Asch leads them over the line in that Mercedes. Keep your eyes on Martin Ragginger. Keep your eyes also on Claudia Hurtgen, who's lining up. Jens Klingmann ahead. The two BMWs, P3 and P4. But through the turn they go, as the Bentley and Corvette absolutely side by side. But, well, Asch and Ragginger, P1, P2. As the rest of the cars all come through now. Claudia Hurtgen just taking a look as they start up Eau Rouge. The Jens Klingmann BMW Z4 ahead. The Bentley is P5 as the rest of the pack comes through now. Warming up once again. Let's see when Ragginger will make his move. It's a question of when, not if. And already all over the back of the Sebastian Asch Mercedes.
Nose to tail into Lecombe as round the outside of Hurtgen, tries to go Luca Strolz, but Claudia Hurtgen runs him out wide. Claudia is a very, very good driver indeed. And this is a car that you cannot discount from this race, no question about it. So Claudia Hurtgen then powers on downhill, winner here back in 2013. And behind Strolz as well, look, you've got the number 24 Audi trying to inch into that mix as well. Florian Stoll at the wheel of it. So downhill they come through Speaker's Corner, heading down towards Pouin. Are the leaders getting away? No, they're not, because Asch is having to defend for all he is worth from Martin Ragginger, and that is bringing back into the mix as well now Jens Klingmann.
Absolutely, you've got Mercedes, Porsche and BMW 1, 2, 3 at the moment. How long it's going to stay like that, only time will tell, as Jens Klingmann now gets run alongside the Ragginger car. They are side by side. Is he going to remain committed to that? We can go on board with him now. He is going to remain committed to it, and he moves up to P2 potentially, because the job isn't done yet. Ragginger runs out wide, but he has lost that place, so the BMW goes up to P2.
A good effort that by Klingmann. The Schubert run car then goes second. The start is under investigation, incidentally. We'll tell you more about that when we know more. But now Jens Klingmann has got himself past Ragginger, and whilst they were squabbling, look, Sebastian Asch, who was looking vulnerable for his race lead, has been able to edge away ever so slightly. However, the way that Klingmann is going, now that the tyres are getting up to temperature, suggests that he is going to be the man to watch. He's on an absolute mission. He's getting away from Ragginger, and it won't be long, I suspect, before Klingmann is in the lead of the race, because at the bus stop, he closes up under braking.
So through the bus stop chicane they go then to cross the timing line and complete first lap following the safety car. This in replay, and this is where Jens Klingmann just absolutely remained committed to that, and he needed to, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't give Ragginger a huge amount of room. Ragginger had to go over the curb and lift, and that did help Klingmann secure the place, but he did have his nose in front. It was his corner. But Ragginger ain't given up yet either. And so as they come past the endurance pits then now, the old start and finish area, although Sebastian Asch leads the way, it's only half a second between them. The battle is still on for second and third, because Ragginger is right there on the tail of Klingmann. You'll now start to see how the different type of car work at different types of circuit and parts of circuit here. The BMW tends not to like power parts of circuit. It hates Monza, for example, where power is everything. This is a part of the circuit where power is important, and Klingmann buys back into the lead scrap because he's right back onto the tail of Sebastian Asch. It's 3 for the lead once again, and don't rule out Claudia Hurtgen either. The start, incidentally, is okay, so the stewards have had a look. They're happy that nobody jumped it, there was no silliness, and so all is good. And we have the leading quartet now all bunching up.
And you're absolutely right. Buying into that bunch up is Claudia Hurtgen in the black and turquoise BMW Z4, which we see behind currently the P3 Porsche Martin Ragginger. Behind Claudia Hurtgen is this Bentley Team HTP Continental from Luca Strolz. Team HTP, of course, here running the Bentley Continental in the ADAC GT Masters, and they also have a junior team in the ADAC F4 single-seaters as well.
And they also run in the Blancpain Sprint and Endurance Series, so there's not a weekend that they're not doing something somewhere with something, as you say. Now, on board again with Jens Klingmann. He is staring at the back of Sebastian Asch with the Mercedes, but also behind him, there is Martin Ragginger. And so Klingmann here is in this invidious position of trying to attack and defend at the same time. And Claudia Hurtgen is on the tail of Ragginger, so Klingmann attacks and defends, Ragginger attacks and defends. But Asch can't get away, despite the fact he's carrying 15 kilos, 30 on the BM and 40 on the third place Porsche.
So those weights then seemingly not making too much of an advantage as Asch really runs wide there. Klingmann gets right alongside him. This is going to be a real fight through the bus stop. They come. Can Klingmann remain committed to it? Yes, he can, and he's going to take the lead. And so too, Ragginger's going to go through to take up P2, or is he?
They're going to be absolutely level as they come up towards La Source, but if Ragginger can't get across and take the line, Asch will come back on the inside line. Hurtgen tries to get in the mix as well. Up the inside she goes. They all concertina up. Asch goes back to second. Ragginger runs wide. He's third. Fourth is Hurtgen. But Jens Klingmann then, with some really demon driving, almost like it was a 5-lap sprint race, has got himself up into the lead. Everybody else, bearing in mind this is a 1-hour race, Klingmann thinks it's the dash for cash because he has really stormed his way up to the front as they use the curve going up through Radial. On board with Strolz now. Pulls up level with Claudia Hurtgen. Meantime, Ragginger tries to make a move on Sebastian. Asch once again for second spot. Looking back, there's Hurtgen.
The Bentley has gone through. It made that move. And Ragginger, as you say, now Sebastian Asch
ran too deep into Lecomte, compromised his run, and that puts Ragginger back onto his tail. There he is, look, coming out of Lecomte, down towards Bruxelles. Go left, there's a Merc in the way. Go right, there's a Mercedes in the way. Martin Ragginger hates this view. He has had enough of it, and he wants to get through, if he can, and try and do something about Klingmann, who's checking out up front, isn't he?
Absolutely. It's playing into Jens Klingmann's hands, isn't it? The BMW looked very, very quick indeed, as you'd mentioned. And now, whilst these are all battling behind for P2, P3, and indeed P4, 5 and 6, then it is playing into the hands of Jens Klingmann, who's able to get up the road. We're on board with Luca Stolz now in the Bentley, who can see the back end of the Ragginger car. And I just wonder whether Stolz is just thinking, I'm just going to ease off here and let these two have a fight and be ready to pick up the pieces.
I'm not sure he can afford to do that, Dave. I mean, it's a good suggestion, but the drama is that Klingmann is getting away up front. Now, Klingmann is partnered by Dominik Baumann. They are both of a comparable pace.
Yes.
Stolz is partnered by Jeroen Bleekemolen, who is quicker, but you're not talking about seconds, you're talking about fractions, and therefore you can't afford to lose anything in that first stint. Stolz, if he's got the speed, has got to get on with this.
Well, both Stolz and Claudia Hurtgen being warned about track limits at turn 4. It's the first time we've seen a track limits warning, but look at this gap that Jens Klingmann has over the others now.
And Sebastian Asch is still working overtime to keep at bay Martin Ragginger. Luca Stolz then, having got past Claudia Hurtgen, is up one spot as well. And Philipp Geipel is also closing up. As we have a look in the Jacko Audi in 6th place then, as he comes up towards the timing line, the car that he shares with Rahel Frey. Leaders go through, and the gap is 1.4 seconds. It's not a monster gap, but it's handy.
It's a comfort, isn't it?
Indeed so.
So there we see the Philipp Geipel Jacko Racing Audi go through then, and it's a bit of a train at the front now, isn't it? But Jens Klingmann is the one that's able to take advantage of these battles that are going on, because he's away up the road, whilst the rest of them, P2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, you can see there, as they're up onto the Camel Straight now. And about to join into that battle as well is the number 8 car, Clemens Schmidt.
Moving from Carrera Cup Deutschland and also Porsche Super Cup into GT racing for this year. Good little fight there as well, near the back of the pack. Mark Gassner in 23 Nissan working his way from last on the grid and fending off in the process at number 12, the BMW that's got Lennart Marianek at the wheel of it in this first stint. And those two absolutely together, although Gassner, in theory, having worked his way up the order, should be able to pull away. He's got the pace in the Monitor Racing System GT Racing. Nissan, he shares that car with Florian Strauss, and Strauss is quick, so it should go strongly, I would have proposed, in the second stint of the race. This
season they're using that car rather than the McLaren MP412C that they ran in GT Masters last year, and I had a conversation with the team boss, Carsten Molitor, saying that seemingly as a customer they're getting much better support.
And also the MP412C, bearing in mind it's not that old a car, it's history already, because now the 650S has come along and he's winning races. Here is a replay of Asch versus Klingmann down to the bus stop, and Klingmann around the outside. This was how he got the race lead, and you use the word committed. Both the passes that he's made on Ragginger and on Asch, ultimate commitment. And Jens Klingmann then, having got himself past the Mercedes, and this is how it happened, coming out of Blanchimont, Asch ran wide, just compromised himself ever so slightly and gave Klingmann that line into the bus stop. But what Klingmann had to do was not make contact, not get carried away up the curb, and he executed that brilliantly.
Yes. So Klingmann doing a great job. Undoubtedly, Asch running wide opened up that opportunity, didn't it? And just allowed him to, and there, as they went into that, that was where Klingmann really had to stay with it. And in fairness, fair play to both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that wide a part of the circuit, that, and because it is a bit of a switchback, it's always easy just to nudge another car, but that was good racing by both of them. There was a rub, but there was nothing malicious about it, no way. So, you're on board with Luca Strolz. He's running fourth. Race order is on the screen. The highlighted driver is the start driver. Don't forget there's the mandatory pit stop. Everybody will make a driver change, and that pit stop has to last for 65 seconds, pit in to pit out. But Klingmann is gapping the rest of them. It was a second and a half. It's now 2.2. Ragginger, I still think, would be able to go after him if only he could find enough room to get past this Mercedes. Sebastian Asch is doing a ripper job of defending.
He is. He's making that Mercedes as wide as he possibly can. Sticks his elbows out and denies Martin Ragginger. And there you can see the difference between them over the last 3 laps. Very, very impressive showing in the Yarko Racing Audi from Philip Geipel as well. It'll be Rahul Frey that takes the car over after those mandatory pit stops. 25 to 35 minutes into the race is that pit stop window. Still see the dark clouds looming overhead. But this, they've all broken away, haven't they? This pack, if you like, of 6 or 7 cars. Clement Schmidt, and he sets the fastest lap at 2:28.52. That came on lap 6 for the Bentley Continental GT3, which is a fantastic addition to the ADAC GT Masters. They're the number 69 former championship winning Corvette Z06 GT3R, and one of the Cave Styler Audis as well. But this is our race leader, Jens Klingmann, under investigation through turn 4 is Clement Schmidt for track limit excursions.
That's going to be through Eau Rouge, I think, where he's using too much curb and too much runoff, and that could be partly why he's done the fastest lap of the race and has brought back into this leading group, because if you're taking effectively a shortcut, then it's going to happen, isn't it? And so, of course, the race director has all the timing data. He can look at sectors and he can have a look at the CCTV pictures that exist at Spa as well. So there is Clement Schmidt and the Bentley at the back of that group. And remember, as Dave has made the point, it's an HTP car. It's not a Works M Sport Bentley. Ragginger, though, rather than attack Asch, is now coming under attack from t'other Bentley, Luca Strolz, then right up behind him. But they need to try and work together if they can, because otherwise Klingmann's advantage is going to be an absolute whopper. It was 2.2. It is now, as we wait for anybody else to go over the line, 3.4. He's pulled out 1.2 seconds in a lap, and Clement Schmidt has just been given a 5-second pit stop penalty for track limits.
So that proves the point then that with regards to respecting of track limits, then race steward is going to rule with that rod of iron. Ruling with incredible pace, though, as we see Klingmann go through and onto the Kemmel Straight. Just look at the margin he has over that Sebastian Asch Mercedes, and I think you're absolutely right. I think if Ragginger could find a way around that extra wide Mercedes, he might be able to pick the pace up and get on towards the BMW. But all the time, Klingmann, of course, is doing exactly what he needs to do and building that huge margin.
And this is one of the frustrations about modern-day GT racing and the balance of performance, because what it does, of course, is make the cars all of different construction, different engine sizes, turbo normally aspirated, different weights, different shapes, you name it. It allows them all to race at an equal parity level. The trouble is that in doing that, it's jolly hard to overtake because they're all running at a comparable pace. So if you can force an error out of somebody and make a move through, like Klingmann did on Asch, fantastic. But otherwise, the frustration is that your car will work well somewhere, the other car will work well at a different part of the circuit, and you kind of get a bit stuck. Plus, you've also got the different weights to factor in. I mean, 15 kilos plays 40 kilos, but the Mercedes to stay ahead is a good defensive job by Asch. And Ragginger needs to try and trigger a mistake out of him, I think, now, because he's... And there it is! There's the Mercedes going sideways, but that's at a part of the circuit where Ragginger can't make advantage because he hasn't got the room.
Just as you were saying it, there it went. You have got power.
I'll tell you what. I'll make it rain in a minute. But what has happened behind Ragginger is that Luca Strolz is there as well. So as Ragginger had to just slightly lift to try and work out which way that snaking Mercedes was going to go, so Strolz got back onto the tail of him. But certainly Asch is under pressure.
And Asch is beginning to look a little bit ragged now, isn't he?
He is.
Now we are, where are we? 4 minutes and a bit away from the pit stop window opening. So Strolz right on the back of the Ragginger Porsche now. And ahead is that Mercedes that Ragginger is trying so very hard to find a way round. But of course, he's also having to defend against this Bentley. Car number 7, which is running in P4 as they head down now towards the uphill section of Eau Rouge and then that very long Kemmel Straight. So the Bentley team HTP Continental GT3 muscles its way through, takes the curbs in and out, and now onto the Kemmel Straight, this long straight up towards Les Combes, which is where we find now our race leader Klingmann and the Porsche not being able to do anything there. Again, great defensive driving from Asch, which is perfectly his right to do. It's Ragginger that's got to try and find a way around. P1, and here comes the battle for P2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
A long queue. But something else just to factor in as you get ready for the pit stops from the second stint. Harry Propchik is 20 seconds back in 12th place. His car will be taken over by Bernd Schneider, who was faster than anybody in the qualifying session that the second drivers did yesterday. It's going to be more than 20 seconds because we've got a couple of laps yet before the pit window. Can Schneider pull back 22, 23 seconds? Not all of it, no, but he'll pull back some of it.
Yes.
Watch that car in the second stint. A 5-second pit stop for car number 36 has just been issued. That is Martin Ragginger for leaving the track. So Martin Ragginger, for track limits, has been given a 5-second pit stop penalty, similar to Clement Schmidt.
That's really going to hurt. Really going to hurt. So Ragginger then with that 5-second pit stop penalty. There is the very car.
It's interesting because I wasn't convinced that one had actually been notified as being investigated. But the penalty is there. And what it means is that effectively the pressure is taken off Sebastian Asch. Now,
yes.
Can they do that penalty at the same time as the mandatory pit stop? Or do they have to do it as a second pit stop?
No, I think they can do it.
Okay, which helps. Because otherwise, of course, you lose even more time having to do the drive-through. So let's see. On board with Strolz now. He's running 4th. At the moment, a lap is a 2:21. So for these drivers, they'll be able to pit at the end of the next lap. The leading BMW might be so far ahead that it would have to do an extra lap, given the time.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very fair point. So we're on board with Luca Stoltz then, who has the pit stop penalty car of Martin Ragginger ahead of him. Sebastian Asch then remains in that P2 position. And there you can see confirmation of the penalty scrolling across the top of your screen. The race being led by Jens Klingmann in the BMW. It's going to be Dominik Baumann that takes over that car that leads at the moment with a gap of some 5.4 seconds over that Sebastian Asch Mercedes-Benz. And Ragginger is sticking with him, isn't he? But what Ragginger hasn't gotten, absolutely right, David, in terms of pushing for the fact that what Ragginger needs to do is to try and provoke a mistake from Asch ahead of him. Saw a little one, but Ragginger wasn't able to take advantage of it, as there is a huge lock-up for the RMRS GT Racing of Nissan Nismo of Florian Scholze. So back to this leading group then. Well, a group from P2 down, really. They're the number 8 car of Clement Schmidt, but this is Sebastian Asch P2, then it is Ragginger who is P3. Harry Hurtgen's turquoise and black BMW there, car number 19 running in P5. Of course, it's the infamous Uwe Olsen that will be taking that car over after the mandatory driver change pit stop. And that window will open in just 16 seconds from now. Here's Luca Stoltz then, the Bentley Continental GT3, that Bentley team HTP running this car. Jeroen Bleekemolen, driver that will be taking that over. So the pit window opens now. And none of the leading pack choose to go in. They could have done, because it opened just as they were on the exit of the bus stop. Beg your pardon. Hurtgen did come in. I missed that. So the BMW is in. Uwe Olsen is standing by. Look at him sprint to the side of the car. He will propel Claudia Hürgen out there. So Hürgen is out. Uwe Olsen going in. Daniel Dobic is in as well. And there's a whole raft of cars coming in as this pit window opens. And now my colleague alongside me gets to work with strategy and times. So the BMW there, and then in the number 42 Mercedes, Bernd Schneider is in the driving seat. Phenomenally quick yesterday, and as David pointed out, what can he deliver now in the second part of this race? Fires back up again. Luca Strolz all over the back of the Porsche of Martin Ragginger. We're actually live back out on track now, and Ragginger is really having to defend. It's his turn to make that Porsche as wide as possible. So there, this has played into the hands of Sebastian Asch just a little, who's able to build just a little bit of a comfort gap over Martin Ragginger and Luca Strolz then, as they're battling together. In the meantime, Jens Klingmann is up the road by some 6 seconds. So two Bentleys running together there in P4 and P5.
Now, just to confirm, you can do your time penalty on your pit stop, so it's going to be an extra 5 seconds, as you were saying, when those cars come in. So it's not that they have to bail now. If, of course, it were after the pit window, then they would have to serve it as a proper pit stop, an extra pit stop, that they can add that on. So it's only going to lose an extra 5 seconds, as in comes Asch,
all
in
of them,
comes Ragginger, in comes Strolz, in comes Schmidt, in comes Geipel. And all of that, of course, means that Klingmann has stayed out for another lap, trying to build up this advantage. That's interesting.
So we're on board with Luca Strolz then. To the HTP garage. Jeroen Bleekemolen standing by to dive into the car. Luca Ludwig already in, being assisted there by Asch. And the two Bentleys together there, run by HTP.
Okay, so the next thing to see is where Uwe Altsen will blend in, won't he? Because, of course, he should be able to gain 1 place, possibly 2, because of these extra 5 seconds being added to the times now that are going to be served by Fabian Hampracht at the wheel of number 8, and also, of course, for the Klaus Bachler, Porsche Junior driver, in 36.
So we split the screen. There on the left-hand side of your screen is the BMW, now being driven by Uwe Olsen. There is the now Klaus Bachler Porsche, of course, serving that additional 5 seconds.
So the beneficiary on that stop is Luca Strolz, look, who's gained a place. So Asch, now Ludwig, is ahead of Hampracht in for Strolz. There is Uwe Altsen, who comes out of the corner. He's on the power. He's going to be 4th. Yes, because he gets ahead of Raul Frey there, going downhill. So it's Klingmann in the lead. It is Ludwig in 2nd place now. And then in 3rd is the Jeroen Bleekemolen, rather, Bentley. And then in 4th place, it's going to be Uwe Altsen. Bleekemolen's going to be the man to watch now, isn't he?
Uwe Olsen's going to be worth watching as well, to be honest with you.
But anything Bleekemolen drives, he drives well.
Okay.
So Jeroen is another of those slightly unfashionable drivers. And look at the way that he defends. It's a big old beast, is that Bentley. But Uwe Altsen can't find a way past him. So Uwe Altsen in the 1990s, former Porsche Super Cup champion, Carrera Cup Deutschland champion. He was the enfant terrible, really, of GT1 in the late 1990s. If there was an incident going, Uwe would be in the middle of it. He's calmed down a bit over the years, and yes, believe it or not, and is a very experienced driver these days. Of course, he's a former winner of the Spa 24 Hours back in the early 1990s, when the event was a shadow of its former self for Group N saloon cars. So there is Jens Klingmann, who has got to treat these next laps like quality
laps, hasn't he? Absolutely. So Klingmann staying out there. Dominik Baumann will be standing by, ready to take over, but at the moment not needed, because Jens Klingmann stays out for a further lap. He's got another 4 and a bit minutes to stay out should he so desire. Of course, he's got to come in before that pit window closes, otherwise it's an absolute disaster for him, but they're not going to make that mistake, that's for sure. So, well, there is Uwe Olsen then in the BMW Z4. There, Luca Ludwig. Cars sound and look absolutely great around Spa at the moment. The weather has not thrown that curveball into it as a mistake there from Olsen.
But the interesting thing here is Ludwig, because he is shaking them off. I mean, I know to an extent Bleekemolen's had to try and defend, but that gap is widening second to third, isn't it? So now Luca Ludwig is the man in a big, big hurry.
Little bit of a lock up there from our race-leading BMW of Jens Klingmann, wasn't there? You just see that smoke come off the tyre there, and the splitter is absolutely on the ground, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Now, he is a minute and 13 seconds ahead.
Right, do your calculations, Mr. Addison, alongside me. As we watch our race leader, who is yet to pit. It'll be Dominik Baumann, who, of course, in previous seasons paired up with Claudia Hürtgen. And it'll be Dominik Baumann, who is standing by to jump into the car. Full of anticipation and excitement, I'm sure, that BMW Sports Trophy Team Schubert Z4 GT3 leading the race. And your conclusions are?
I need another lap time out of Luca Ludwig, I'm afraid. I need a flying lap time out of him. But basically, this car, as you see, a spinning 99, which is the Bordeaux Renault 911 at the chicane. That gets going again. We've got under investigation, let me tell you, Marc Basseng, number 24, for an unsafe release. And that was what Renault did. He was slightly put off his stride by the Nissan pitting there, wasn't he? Anyway, the car gets going again. Leader is in. Okay, so he was a minute and 13 up the road, and that should be enough, shouldn't it? Because it's a 65-second stop. So, out gets Jens Klingmann, in gets Dominik Baumann. It's going to be close, but the car should keep the lead unless anything goes wrong on the pit stop.
Right.
The next question is to look at lap times between the two of them. On screen, then, is Luca Ludwig.
Let's split the screen, then. It's Luca Ludwig we watch on the left-hand side, and then Dominik Baumann on the right-hand side, being assisted by Jens Klingmann, who's done a fantastic job in the first stint of this race, the first part of the race. Jens Klingmann and Dominik Baumann is settled in the car now. The Z4 starts up.
It's going to keep the lead easily, isn't it? Because that's going to be at La Source, only now into the chicane. Comes the Mercedes. But Luca Ludwig knows what this car is doing. He's had a lap behind the wheel of it. He's up to speed with that car. Whereas now, Baumann has got to be on it straight away. He will come out of the pit lane, but he's still got a good advantage now over the race leader. So there's the BMW, and the Mercedes not even in sight. Now, yesterday, in qualifying, Baumann was 0.128 of a second faster than Ludwig. In other words, he's still got the quicker car. He's the quicker driver, only slightly, but he's quicker. He should be in the box seat here because Ludwig has got to make up this gap against somebody who is fractionally faster than him anyway.
Yes. So you saw Sebastian Asch then looking on. Here is Luca Ludwig with a huge, huge challenge ahead of him.
Absolutely right. Working his way up towards Les Combes. So the starting point for this is 11.5 seconds then now. That is the gap. Let's see whether that's going to come down or not. For third place, it is Jeroen Bleekemolen, who's not coming under quite the attack yet from Uwe Olsen, but nor is Bleekemolen being able to do anything about Ludwig.
A great position for the Rahul Frey Geipel Audi, which is P5.
Now, Olsen has just done a personal best within the first sector. An absolute best in the first sector has been set, incidentally, lower down the order by Daniel Kylwitz, whose Corvette is in 12th spot. Bernd Schneider is 11th, and he's just done the car's personal best in the first sector as well. So there's still a lot to shake out of this, but only really now we're going to start seeing representative sector times out of Baumann relative to Ludwig behind him, because the first sector time would have included pit out.
Of course.
So, middle sector, he's done a 66. Let's have a look and see what Luca Ludwig can do. still think it's going to be a mistake or a problem that takes the win away, because this has been such a well-drilled effort. 6/10 quicker in the first sector is Luca Ludwig with 24 minutes and change on the clock. It's a tall order.
Big ask, isn't it?
I mean, the Schubert car in this championship works well. When the Schubert team have tried longer races in Blancpain, they really struggle with reliability. Fingers crossed for them.
So, here is our race-leading car. Dominik Baumann down through the gearbox then. Takes the curbs, the long run down now past the former start line. And they're only now going through that La Source was the Mercedes with Luca Ludwig. That's the Hamprecht car that is under pressure now from Diego Alesi, former champion, of course, in that Corvette Z06. And there is, in car number 42, Bernd Schneider. Now, you were saying just a few moments ago how quick he was in quali yesterday.
The man is still an absolute hero.
Yes.
I tell you what, that livery on that car, I think it's the smartest Mercedes SLS-AMG GT3 I've ever seen. Battle on here. Klaus Bachler tries to go around the outside of Raoul Frey going into Lecom. Job done. Good pass that by Klaus Bachler. The Austrian driver then moves through up into 5th place. But of course that car lost time because of the extra 5 seconds in the pits.
Time penalty that they had to serve in that pit stop.
And there, 8 Bentley, of course, down in 7th in the hands of Hamprecht. Just going back quickly to the leaders, the gap has come down by over a second in a lap. So that possibly is while Baumann gets up to speed. Need to just monitor that. But we're now from 11.5 to 10.4.
Thank you. Right, in the meantime, this is Klaus Bachler, who now has been released from the clutches, if you like, of Rahal Frey, is able to get up the road a bit. There is the supremely liveried Bernd Schneider car. Car number 66 is under investigation as we speak. That the car, former championship-winning car of Daniel Kalvitz, partnered with Andreas Wirth, now the roller Corvette.
Remember I said he'd done the absolute best in the first sector?
Yes.
Wonder why. Track limits then. So somebody else potentially shortening Eau Rouge. So the stewards are going to have a look and we'll see what happens. Now there is Schneider, who's getting himself now, look, onto the tail of Edward Sandstrom.
Yes.
And Sandstrom is no slouch. Races in a variety of GT championships. He also has been racing this year in Rallycross, had a go at Hockenheim for Matthias Ekstrom's team, and part of the Audi family, slotted into this car for the weekend. As here is Luca Ludwig then, who's about to come up over the timing line. The leader has gone through. Baumann's last lap was a 2:23.5. Here comes Luca Ludwig, and the gap is down to 9.7 seconds. This is looking promising. Not necessarily saying he's going to get there in time, but the gap is coming down by more than I was anticipating it to do.
Right. So Luca Ludwig then on a charge as we watch him in P2. Bleekemolen is P3. Uwe Olsen P4. We're on board with Luca Ludwig now. He absolutely nails onto this Kemmel straight. He nails the accelerator through the floor in his quest to try and claw back the time that Dominik Baumann has. The time advantage of last time round, 9.7 seconds. Luca Ludwig on a charge then. Saw both Luca and Klaus together in one of the shots before the start of the program. And the number 21 car, the Zakspeed racing car, there is Sebastian Asch along with Klaus Ludwig, just having discussions there. And there is the car, and Luca doing everything he can with it to try and just bring down that margin between them.
And he has done so in the first sector, only by 28 thousandths of a second, but he's brought it down. But the other interest here is that Bleekemolen is lapping in the first sector quicker than the two ahead of him. So that third place Bentley, now that it's shaken off Uwe Olsen, is being able to concentrate a little bit more, I think, on its own race, its own pace. How is Klaus Bachler getting on? He is lapping quicker than Olsen as well. So the Porsche ain't done yet. That gap between 4th and 5th could come down sufficiently. And Schneider, look, has managed to vault ahead of Edward Sandstrom. So Bernd Schneider now goes up into 9th place, and he's not done yet because his next target is going to be Diego Alesi. And he should be able to sort him out, I would have thought, the way that Bernd Schneider is going. Multiple DTM champion, of course. former Formula 1 driver, made his F1 debut for Zakspeed, German Formula 3 champion. And Ben Schneider, since he retired, in quotes, has won more endurance races like the Bathurst 12-hour and the Spa 24 hours. He first won the Spa 24 in 1989, and he won it again in 2013.
Incredible, isn't it?
The man is a legend, I tell you. He's an absolute star.
Right, so there is Bernd Schneider. And he is running, as you say, in the tail of that Audi, which is ahead of him.
Lead gap is down again from 9.7 to 9.1. Not a huge gain. Bleekemolen is 12.5 seconds back, and last time did not lap any quicker, so it was just slightly deceiving in the sectors. Now there is Sandstrom trying to get on with the job against Diego Alessi. Alessi, in fact, has found a way through, hasn't even got past the Audi.
Yes.
Ben Schneider hammers over the line. He's doing 2:22s. So Schneider is lapping quicker than the 4 ahead of him.
Extraordinary. And there he is in that beautiful liveried Mercedes. Down the Kemmel Straight they run, heading toward Les Combes. And there you can see them all in the line. The number 69 car driven by Diego Alessi, former champion in ADAC GT Masters. Bernd Schneider, multi-champion in many, many disciplines, of course, and still having not lost his touch when it comes to racing, that is for sure. The man alongside me, full of admiration for him.
And those successes largely with Mercedes. I mean, he got to Formula 1, but with rather raggy things like the Zakspeed. The same team, of course, effectively, that runs the Mercedes that's in second place now. But when Eric and Peter Zakowski's team got to Formula 1, admittedly with a decent budget from a German cigarette manufacturer, it just was not a competitive car. It didn't really do Ben Schneider any favours, but it was really in the DTM that he made his name and just won title after title after title with Mercedes. He was the FIA GT champion with Mercedes in the late 1990s in the CLK, and now is an ambassador for Mercedes, but has lost none of his competitive spirit. And wherever there's a seat in a Mercedes to go racing, he will take it, and he will be quick.
Well, that we're seeing played out for us right now in this first of 2 ADAC GT Masters races this weekend. And under pressure now is Diego Alessi in the Corvette, because the Audi trying to just dive up the inside there. Diego Alessi has to make that Corvette as wide as possible. It's the battle that is going on for P8, David.
They both run wide, and that's played into the hands of Schneider. They were so busy battling, they both ran a bit wide coming out of the Paul Frere. And so now, look, Schneider is right on the tail of Edward Sandstrom. Alessi runs way wide at Blanchimont. He's going to attract the stewards here if he's not careful. Heading into the bus stop chicane. Schneider not close enough there to make a move. Coming back at the pair, look, Marc Bosseng as they come over the line. And we've got a penalty also now being given to 66, which is Daniel Keilwitz. He was under investigation for track limits. Now he's got a 5-second classification penalty. In other words, put on at the end of the race.
Was running in P12, so that's going to hurt, isn't it?
It is. Well, it is, but it depends really. If he can pull a 5-second margin, at the moment he can't because he's only 7/10 ahead, but in the remaining 16 minutes, let's see what gaps open up. 5 seconds actually, if other people drop away, may hurt less. We'll see, we'll see. For the moment, yes, it would cost him 2 places. Meantime, Rahal Frey is under attack from Fabian Hamprecht. Then you've got Diego Alessi, and then it's Edward Sandstrom ahead of Ben Schneider, but only just ahead of Ben Schneider. Lead gap, by the way, 8.8 seconds. It's continuing to come down slightly.
Yes, it isn't coming down with quite the frosty it did just a couple of laps ago, though, is it?
No. You get the feeling Baumann has measured this. He's driving within himself, and he knows that that's a comfortable margin. A lot of the work done, in fairness, by Jens Klingmann to work his way through to the front and let everybody squabble in his wake. And really, you could argue the race was won round about lap 3, 4, 5 when he worked his way to the front and got on with the job.
What have we got? 15.5 minutes left in the race. There's Rahal Frey. And there you can see the Bernd Schneider car as once again the Corvette runs wide, although the Corvette with Diego Alessi at the wheel. But of course what it does, it not only runs wide, loses a little bit of momentum. That allows Sandstrom to get ever closer. That also plays into the hands, doesn't it, a little bit of Bernd Schneider.
You're absolutely right, but add to that the fact that he keeps on doing it, and it won't be long before the stewards start to have a look at him.
Yeah.
And Diego Alessi is an experienced driver. So the fact that there, Luca Ludwig also running very wide out of Blanchimont, they need to be careful about this because we know that the officials are being very strict on track limits here. Don't push your luck.
So Sebastian Asch then, and in the back of the picture is Klaus Ludwig as they look on. There is the leading car of Dominik Baumann, and here comes the P2 car, Luca Ludwig, in that Mercedes.
Gap widens by 0.2 of a second, so it does suggest that Bauman's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in fairness it was a slower lap from Ludwig rather than Baumann upping his pace, but even so the gap just widens ever so slightly. So as you say, 14 minutes and change on the clock. Schneider versus Sandstrom. Again, you see the way the BOP works because it's frustrating Schneider. He's got the pace, he's worked his way up onto the back of the Audi, and now he's a bit stuck.
Rahul Frey in the Audi goes through.
Hear the car bottoming as he gets through Rouge. You can just hear it skim the ground. So 6th is Rahul Frey, keeping at bay the rest. Former Audi DTM racer, and this is Diego Alessi running wide. And Ben Schneider, in fact, goes even wider, finds a puddle. That is definitely all 4 wheels off, Bert, isn't it?
Yes.
Schneider still stuck behind Edward Sandstrom. Sandstrom very much an Audi specialist these days. Schneider very much a Mercedes specialist. Well, the trouble is that if you have a slower co-driver and Harry Prochet not able to match the times of Schneider, the workload you have in terms of a gap is huge, but also you come out of your pit stop in traffic. This is the result. He just struggled to make a way through.
So Schneider continues his quest then, but at the moment not being able to find a way past Sandstrom. So that gold and black liveried Mercedes-Benz mired down there at the moment in P10. There is our race leader, having got past the back-marking Nissan Nismo GTR. Baumann, the race leader. His last lap of 2:23.199. Car number 66 then. Now, is that an additional penalty for car number 66? Because he's already had one. Or is that a repeat on our screen of the message that we had just a couple of laps ago?
I think that's an extra.
I think it's a new one.
I think you're right.
So, whether it's new or whether it's old, Daniel Karlvitz and Andreas Wirth in their Callaway competition Corvette get penalised.
Indeed.
Again.
Yes, thanks to Daniel Karlvitz, Andreas's race is going from bad to Wirth.
That was bad joke number 3 of the weekend.
More to come.
Many more to come, I'm afraid to say. Apologies. Right, how's Bernd Schneider doing it? He's still not able to find a way past the Audi. And Sandstrom, of course, is trying to find his way past Diego Alessi.
And he's only got 11 3/4 minutes in which to do it.
I don't know where this race has gone, actually.
You see what happens when it's a fascinating race, and there's a lot that has happened in this, a lot of cat and mouse battling, but we're not done yet. But up front, it is still Dominik Baumann leading the way. We've done 19 laps. Here's the traffic jam, Sandstrom versus Schneider. Of course, these cars, they have aero, but they don't tow as easily as a single-seater does.
No.
So you can't really run up the inside coming out of Bleekemolen. You've kind of got to do this on brute force and on power and on good braking. Schneider is applying pressure to Sandstrom, absolutely no question about it. Mark Bosseng is almost there as well. Former FIA GT1 world champion in the second of the orange Audis. They head out of Speaker's Corner now, downhill they go. But up front, the lead gap, down again last time incidentally, 8.3 seconds between Baumann and Luca Ludwig. Schneider goes through Pouin. Spa was changed over the years that Bant's been racing around here, I would have thought, from his early days in junior single-seaters.
Just make mention of the fact that in P6 is the Rahul Frey Philip Guy Palaudi from Yarko Racing, which is going to be the best finish so far this season if Rahul is able to hold on to that and hold Hamprecht at bay. And I still think a lot of that was when Guy Pell at the start really tried to vault himself up into the hairpin. And again, a bit ragged now is the Sandstrom car because of the relentless pressure that Schneider is placing on him.
And also, they're getting a little bit closer to Alessi as round the outside of Blanchimont comes Schneider. He's off the road. He's back on again. That was all 4 wheels off. That's way, way, way off the road.
All 3 of them, though.
And you would say that out of that, Schneider got an advantage because by running off the road, he kept the momentum up and was able to slingshot through and get the place. I'll be interested to see now what happens out of that. But for my money, that was leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Now, whether Schneider will give back the place and do it again, let's wait and see. He is finally up into 9th place, but the story may not end there.
I think you're right. I think the advantage that he gained, he was able to cement, wasn't he, because of that.
And Sandstrom, yes, he went off, and so too did Basseng, but they'd already lost the position by that stage. But look at Schneider go. Now that he has been released, he's in clear air, he will hunt down, absolutely no question, Diego Alessi. Diego, who is not a spring chicken anymore, still a competitive driver, but many, many years ago was one of the mainstays of the Maserati Trofeo. Former Italian Formula 3 top dog, going back a long, long time, Diego Alessi. But he's going to have Ben Schneider crawling all over the back of him in a moment.
Well, nothing on our screens at the moment, although just as I say that, just as I say, I have the same power as you, don't I? Number 42 is under investigation.
I wonder why.
So we may not have heard the end of this yet. Let's see. I think what might help him, even though they didn't get the advantage in the same way that he did, is because the other 2 ran wide as well. Might just take the heat off him a little bit.
Yeah, but the trouble is, Dave, when he made that pass,
I agree.
He was off the road. He was behind when he started it, and he was out when he finished it, and he was off the road. That was an advantage.
Yes, you're right.
You know, he didn't lift to stop going off. No, he kept on going.
Turning.
No, he didn't. So, anyway, the stewards will have a good look at that, and Ben Schneider will, if he has to go and see them at the end of the race, put on his most insouciant face and say, I did nothing wrong at all. I'm very experienced, you know, I've won the 24 hours twice, I know what I'm doing. So there he is, Ben Schneider. He's under investigation, no more news for the moment on that. But actually, he's not getting away anymore, is he?
No, he isn't.
Sandstrom has decided that he didn't like being overtaken that way, and he's going to teach the old master a lesson. So Sandstrom is back up with him.
And what, of course, he's doing is it's helping the other old master as well, Diego Alessi, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
here you go, look, round the outside. So he goes through, he's off the road, and he's ahead.
Okay.
And now the timing screen says that Schneider and Sandstrom must change position for an irregular manoeuvre. I've never heard it described like that, but certainly he gained the advantage by going off the road. So Schneider's got to give back the place and do it all over again.
Now what he's got to do is give back that place, which he does, but not allow the base end car to take advantage as well, which he didn't. He shut that door very firmly, didn't he?
Yes, Mark Basseng was not having a sniff up the inside there in Ben Schneider as well. There's no argument about it. So Basseng stays on the back of him now as they run downhill. But of course, in doing that switch, as you rightly said, he had to make sure Basseng didn't go through. Sandstrom's built a gap again.
Yeah, yes, he has. So all over again, Bernd Schneider has got to do it, but this time, if he can do it remaining within the white lines, that will be a help.
It would. Bonus point for that if he can do it, yes. Actually, he's all fired up, isn't he? Look, because he's there at Les Combes. So Schneider now is very committed to this. He's not quite close enough there to make a move. And this, believe it or not, is the battle for 9th place. That's all.
Extraordinary stuff, isn't it?
It's great to watch, I tell you. In
the meantime, leading the race, Dominik Baumann. Some 8.8 seconds up the road. It's a great race too from Rahul Frey, who's been able to hold at bay Fabian Hamprecht. But then we get back to this little battle, which continues to rage between car number 100, Edward Sandstrom, and car number 42, Bernd Schneider.
And Dominik Baumann is, as you see coming down the pit lane here, Alfred Renner. Dominik Baumann is looking to make this 2 wins in a row at Spa. Trouble is, there's a 2-year break in between because race 2 2013 was a win for him and Claudia Hurtgen, and race 1 2015 potentially is going to be a win for Dominik Baumann. It will be our 5th different winning crew of the year, and the first win potentially this year for a BMW.
Indeed. Under investigation now is Diego Alessi then for leaving the track. T4, we're gaining an advantage.
Now, did I not say the more he does this, the more he will attract the attention of the officials?
I don't know why we don't listen to you more.
Hanging. No. That's the reason. That's the reason. Diego Alessi is still in 8th place. There he is with Sandstrom, who's shaken off Schneider behind him. And then it's Mark Basseng running in 11th spot there in the second of the Audis. Renault is in. I mean, this is a problem. This isn't a routine stop, is it? So something is not well with that car. Let's have a look. As he's hit the curb, either it's not a puncture, is it? Something's broken, I think. Or
I think it's
bottoming it too much. So they have a look and send him back out. But I think maybe as he hit the curb, it bottomed, and maybe there was a fear that he'd done some damage. Anyway, he's been dispatched back into the race. Incidentally, the car of Stefan Wackerbauer and Calvin van der Linde never did get into the race after its accident. It never went back in order to do any testing. And a 5-second classification penalty is being given to Diego Alessi for leaving the track with an advantage. So he will cop 5 seconds.
His P8 is not going to be P8, is it? What's it going to put him back? P13, 14?
13. 12 it's going to put him, 12. Right, there's Luca Ludwig, who is 8.2 seconds back. It's come down from 11.5, but it's never got really below 8.
And there's just 4 minutes left to run. It's unless there's a mistake from Baumann.
Or a mechanical drama, yes.
Indeed.
It's not going to happen, but it's been a good, solid run. And, of course, importantly, this is a good points haul for the championship leaders.
Just think that
Bleekemolen
is going to come under a little bit of pressure now as Olsen finds a final wind towards the end of the race. He was looking a bit closer just a moment ago, to be fair. Now that we look at that, the gap has increased a bit, so Bleekemolen is perhaps another 19. Yeah, the Renault car is parked up now. So whatever was broken stays broken. That was the puncture.
That time it's the tyre, definitely.
I wonder if there was a little bit more to that than perhaps met the eye.
Yeah. We didn't see all of the pit stop. I can't imagine they did a tyre change. But maybe what they didn't assess properly was a slow puncture.
And it has now completely deflated.
Gone. Yeah, possibly. So, Dominik Baumann has got 3 minutes to go. It'll be this lap and one more because he goes across the line now with 2:57 on the clock. A flying lap is a 2:23. He's got time for 2 more laps, this and one more. And this, you've got to say, has been a consummate job. It's brilliant first stint by Jens Klingmann.
Yes.
Good teamwork. And it's one of the few cars that we've not had any investigation about for going off the road or for pit stop. I mean, it's been absolutely perfect in every respect. Whereas...
Yes, I just noticed that.
We've now got under investigation for a pit stop infringement, possibly. Samuel Sledecka and Lennart Marionek. It's Sledecka at the wheel of the car at the moment. It's in 16th place. It's not really one that's going to trouble the overall order too much, but that's another car under investigation, number 12 being the St. Kia Motorsport BMW Z4.
So 2 minutes left. Race being led by Dominik Baumann. There is the Bernd Schneider car in there. Going through is the Porsche on Uwe Olsen.
That was Backler going through. He was 3 tenths back at the start of the lap, but rather than Olsen attacking Bleekemolen, it's all changed instead. And now you've got Schneider looking for a way past Sandstrom for 9th place, but he still can't do it.
So towards the end of this race, the last minute charges come thick and fast. We keep our eye on Bernd Schneider, then on Edward Sandstrom ahead of him. There's other cars ahead as well. The back-marking Nissan gets out of the way, but that has hampered the Corvette. It's hampered the other Audi, and now hampers Bernd Schneider a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Nissan didn't do anything wrong. It was just the wrong place on the wrong lap, wasn't it? And so the gaps have opened up just a little bit between them. Certainly Schneider's fallen back from Sandstrom as they go round Pouen this time. And there, Raul Frey coming under attack from Hamprecht, and Sandstrom is having another go at Diego Alessi. They're absolutely nose to tail now. The Corvette has got the Audi absolutely glued to the back of it. And I still think that Hamprecht can get past Frey before the end of the race. Now look, because Sandstrom is stuck behind Alessi, Schneider has arrived back at the party and he's brought Mark Bassane for company.
He has indeed. This is going to be one to watch all the way through to the checkered flag then. That little pack with Diego Alessi at the head of it in the Corvette, then it's Audi, then it's Mercedes, then it's Audi. So there's Alessi in the Corvette. Right in the middle of it is that hugely experienced but probably very frustrated Bernd Schneider. There's Luca Ludwig. then it's Bleekemolen, then it is the Porsche of Klaus Bachler, then Uwe Olsen. So Rahul Frey then one more lap to try and defend from Fabian Hamprecht.
It's going to be hard to do because Hamprecht is on an absolute mission. Wide in, tight out at La Source could well be the go. And Schneider tries to do the same to Sandstrom, but he finds Marc Bosseng up the inside of him. Bosseng used to race that kind of Mercedes, so he knows what he's doing here, but Schneider defends. What happened further up the road as well? Have a look to see. No, Audi fended off Bentley. Schneider has really had enough of looking at the back of Sandstrom.
Yes, you can just sense the frustration, can't you, that Bernd Schneider is feeling. Bosseng behind is flashing his lights furiously at Bernd Schneider. Bernd Schneider now loses out just a little bit as Rahul Frey again tries to make the Audi as wide as possible to try and deny Hamprecht from coming around.
And succeeds, and Schneider can't find a way past Sandstrom. I've got to say, I think Schneider getting past Sandstrom is less likely because he's also got the threat of the sister Audi behind him, which is kind of there as a bit of protection, really. As long as Bosseng attacks Schneider, it's hard for Ben to concentrate purely on getting past Sandstrom, whereas a sideways Hamprecht has not given up. Don't forget, number 8 Bentley has already done the best lap of the race very early on when Clement Schmidt was at the wheel of it, but half a lap remains. I'm not convinced that Hamprecht is going to be quite close enough unless he gets a really good run through Blanchimont and can attack at the last chicane.
Well, we anticipate that. Rahul Frey has probably done all that she needs to do. And the gap back now to Bernd Schneider. Just wonder whether Sandstrom has done enough. However, let's get back on the last lap to our race leader. It's been a phenomenal performance from this BMW Z4 through the bus stop chicane. Going to take the checkered flag. It's going to be Dominik Baumann for Dominik Baumann and Jens Klingmann. What a race! And having brought the gap down the best he possibly could to take P2, it will be Luca Ludwig. Jeroen Bleekemolen takes P3, Klaus Bachler P4, Uwe Olsen will take P5. What a brilliant race from the ADAC GT Masters, David.
And it means that the championship lead will increase for Asch and Ludwig as here comes the next wave of cars up towards the timing line. And Rahul Frey's got a problem at the very last corner, so 6th is Hamprecht. Alessi is 7th on the road, 8th is Sandstrom, 9th is Schneider, 10th is Bosseng. And Rahul Frey, look, has not yet made it to the timing line. I wonder what it is. Could it be something as silly as fuel? Let's see. We've got an incident between Frey and Schmidt being investigated, so something has happened out of view on the last lap and the Audi has ground to a halt, and this is it. The Bentley gets into the back of the Audi, turns it around, but why does the car then expire coming out of the corner? Does it get hit again? Rahul Frey gets going,
but not going very quickly at all.
So was the reason there was contact because the car developed a problem and slowed into the bus stop? Schmidt goes for a gap on the inside, and certainly there was contact.
But was the car slowing before the contact?
I don't know. On that shot, didn't look like it, but then I'm a bit confused as to why it didn't pick up speed coming out of the corner.
Right.
And it stopped. I mean, it is on the track. It's not made into the line yet, so...
What a shame.
Yeah, the car doesn't cross the timing line. However, Dominik Baumann's good strike rate at Spa continues. Winner here 2 years ago. He returns, and he makes... effectively 2 Spa wins in a row. Out of the car he gets. Dominik Baumann and Jens Klingmann then score victory. Second, Sebastian Asch and Luca Ludwig. The championship lead increases, but they have yet to win a race this year. And third goes the way of Luca Strolz and Jeroen Bleekemolen.
Well, a drama-filled 60 minutes, that's for sure, and brilliant racing.
Can I just quickly say that, first of all, Diego Alessi's penalty puts him 9th, and a drive-through penalty replaced by 30-second time penalty has been given to number 8 Bentley then. So Fabian Hamprecht, for the contact on Rahul Frey, has been given a 30-second penalty, and that puts the car 14th. So Baumann, Ludwig, Bleekemolen the top 3. In the end, Klaus Bachler 4th, Uwe Olsen 5th, Edward Sandstrom 6th, Bernd Schneider 7th, Marc Bosseng 8th, Diego Alessi 9th, and in 10th place, Sven Barth. You following all this?
But what it doesn't do, and I feel a bit sad, is what it doesn't do, it doesn't help Rahul Frey, does it?
No, it doesn't. I'd like another look at that.
Because that would have been their best finish this season.
Yeah.
And, you know, did so well to defend for so long.
I think it is fair to say that the gap that Hamprek was going for was self-created. But I'm still mystified as to what it was that prevented the Audi from getting going again. However, the incident has been given this penalty, and so Fabian Hamprek and Clement Schmidt 14th in the end. Lively old race.
Rather. Roll on race 2 tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The threat of rain never came, for which the team will be eternally grateful, I suspect. But an ultra-competitive season, as I say, every race now has been won by a different driver combination.
So, the drivers all down there before heading off towards the podium. It's BMW, Mercedes, and then Bentley. So, Jens Klingmann, Dominik Baumann, Sebastian Asch, Luca Ludwig, and Luke Strolz, Jeroen Bleekemolen. The 1, 2, 3.
Strolz and Bleekemolen winners at Ossersleben. So we've had a win for Bentley, a win for Porsche, and a win for 2 different types of Lamborghini. A Gallardo and a Huracan have both had a victory, and now you can add BMW Z4 to that list as well. Now, of course, with that win, the BMW will carry a bit more weight going into tomorrow's race, but it's seemingly not made a huge amount of difference, has it? Because the car carries the weight very well indeed. And Jens Klingmann and Dominik Baumann then score victory in round 5 of the ADAC GT Masters. And as we said during the race, not a wheel put wrong. There was never any threat of the car having any sort of penalty or being investigated for track limits. It was all so well done.
Yes, you're right, it was. As we take a look at some slow-mos then of the 1, 2, 3. Third place goes the way of Jeroen Bleekemolen, Lucas Strolz then in the Bentley. P2 for Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Asch, the Mercedes-Benz. And then the win going the way of Dominik Baumann and Jens Klingmann in the BMW Z4 GT3 from Schubert Motorsport. And here is the result. Klingmann, Baumann, Asch, Ludwig, Strolz, Bleekemolen, the 1, 2, 3. Then it was Raginger, Backler, Hurtgen, Olsen, Dobic, Sandstrom, Projik and Schneider took P7 with Stoll and Basing. And the rest of the order, as was on screen. Those dark clouds loomed throughout the race, but never came to anything, did it, as the drivers posed for the photos ahead of heading up to the podium. So Luca Ludwig
with the 13 o'clock in the background, and there the fabulous topography around Spa, these beautiful mountains. It's a fabulous region, this. It's a circuit steeped in history. All the local bars and restaurants embrace the circuit, and there's hardly a local hostelry without some connection through memorabilia or even the people you find in there with the circuit itself. And of course the Belgian Grand Prix, which has been held here exclusively really since the 1980s, the mid-1980s, but it used to flit between here and Zolder. And the 24 hours as well has been another key part of Spa. It used to be a road circuit, now it's a permanent circuit, and is very busy for racing as well as for track days. It has its 25-hour Fun Cup race, the Spa 24 hours, 2 big historic meetings. The World Endurance Championship comes here. It's a busy circuit, and it's one that drivers absolutely love. And although it has been sanitised a little over the years because of the demands of modern Formula One,
it still retains character.
It absolutely remains character, and it still remains a challenge. And you still have to have big whatnots to get a good lap time around here.
Tempted to say what is whatnots, but let's not do that. And you mentioned the topography, and it's, you know, it's a nice, relatively easy run from the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Which sees a lot of UK visitors come here for the various events, and I have to say the car park that we're in has seen a deluge of cars registered in the UK who are here across enjoying the ADAC GT Masters weekend as well. And there is a lot to enjoy, a lot of racing on track this weekend, and certainly out at dinner last night. A lot of English-speaking people enjoying some fine Belgian beer, to which you also have an encyclopedic knowledge, David Haddison.
As the boot of my car will testify.
Best we not be saying that.
Oh, okay. It's going to be a long journey home. It's almost like an extra British race circuit, this, isn't it?
Yeah,
to make the
I
point.
think
it's
it
so close
yes,
to the UK.
yes, I think it is.
British categories come here so often, but it's great that the ADAC GT Masters Series comes here as well, because it is a proper track, and GT cars around here just look fantastic. And the teams then congregate underneath the podium, ready for the top 3 drivers, or top 3 crews, I should say, to make their way out. More GT cars of a different variety, GT4 cars, are in the old pits there, ready for their practice session. That's what you can see in the pit lane, the old pits. And that is a part of the circuit that, again, has evolved a little over the years, but the basic shape of Eau Rouge is exactly the same as ever it was.
Yes. So we await the podium, which is not far away. All the drivers, of course, in the ADAC GT Masters have media commitments that they have to attend to before heading up to the podium, but that is where they are on their way to. And we have another race to come tomorrow from the GT Masters. And, of course, first of the ADAC Formula 4 single-seaters to come a little bit later today as well. Last race they had at the Red Bull Ring was dramatic, to say the very, very least. And we will see how that goes in but a short while here at Spa this weekend. All the information, of course, the ADAC... She enjoyed that too much. The ADAC GT Masters website, adac-gt-masters.de, with full English translation available on that website. Do check it out. Driver profiles and various other things for you to see there as well.
So right. The car's in Parc Fermé, and once the interviews are done, the drivers will head up towards the podium ceremony, with yet again a different combination of drivers taking that top step. Jens Klingmann and Dominik Baumann being the drivers that will go to the top step and celebrate success here this weekend at Spa.
Right, the girls are ready.
Easy, Tiger.
Not easy for them having to adopt that pose for a long time while waiting for the podium, is it?
And race 2 coming up tomorrow afternoon. Who knows what the track conditions are going to be like. Of course, it's a different grid, and it's the drivers that we've just seen finishing this race that will be the start drivers in race 2. So a very different feel to the first part of the race, and then it really becomes a battle. And often these races become more interesting between the AMs. All the pro drivers run largely at the same pace, but it's the lesser graded driver where there's a bit more disparity, and perhaps, therefore, more can shepherd out of that second stint.
Well, we will see. Make sure you join us for race 2 tomorrow, please. As everyone continues to await the podium, which seems to be... the irony here is that it's actually not far to the podium.
No, it's just up the stairs.
Absolutely. Where at other circuits there is a distance for the drivers to have to travel. But here it's quite close, but such is their commitments to various media interviews and photographs and things that they've not made it up to the podium yet. The podium is actually to the left of our commentary position, and hopefully we'll see the drivers up there very, very soon. See the GWIT Racing Corvette team down there. That team, of course, run by Gert Beisel, former ADAC GT Masters driver himself. You may recall at the end of season 2013 had an horrific crash at Hockenheim, but thankfully all okay, and Gerd Beisel now choosing to manage the team rather than drive in. So the cloud continues to look on, as do the crowd here, and the ADAC GT Masters bubbly is ready to be sprayed. All we need is some drivers, really.
Yes, that's the one flaw in this at the moment, but they are on their way. Of course, it's difficult enough getting drivers to the podium. You've also got to round up 6 of them, not 3. You've also got, of course, the winning gentleman. You've got the team's rep to find as well. And people want to not only finish interviews, but also celebrate with team and friends and family. So it does take a little bit of orchestrating, but we can now hear in the background that everybody is getting ready to get up there for the ceremony. And it it really has been a stunning job done by the Schubert team to guide Jens Klingmann and Dominik Baumann to victory. With everybody else losing time early on as they just got on with the job and stormed clear. Some really good racecraft by Jens Klingmann.
Yes.
He did that on a heavy fuel load on coolish tyres.
Yes.
And you saw the perils of pushing too hard on cold tyres, didn't you, Stefan Wackerbauer? So for Jens Klingmann, they're being congratulated. A cracking job. Really deserve that success after that first stint.
Okay, so we're told we are just seconds away from the podium as we look at the delight down there on the pit lane. Here comes the podium then, and Jens Klingmann and Dominik Baumann out onto the podium they go. Sebastian Asch and Luca Ludwig are next.
Still no wins, but more points, and that advantage in the championship increases, and there are more ways to win a championship than by winning races, and of course by taking points and keeping away from maximum weight. It's a very shrewd way of doing it, as Luca Strolz and Jeroen Bleekemolen arrive on the podium for third place, as we now have the national anthem for the winners and for Schubert Motorsport, who arrive on the podium as well at the end of round 5 of the ADAC GT Masters.
Well, they choose the longer version of the national anthem for the podium ceremony. And the applause from down below the podium here as Christian May, Afrikaartje, makes the trophy presentation to Dominik Baumann and Jens Klingmann. They hold their trophies aloft with some pride following that fine performance.
Then the trophies will go to the Zakspeed team, to Sebastian Asch and Luca Ludwig, as Pierre-Alain Thibault, himself a very successful touring car racer in the 1980s, steps forward to hand over the trophies to the sons of people I suspect he will have raced against, going back to the ETC days. And then at the other end of the podium is Luca Strolz and Jeroen Bleekemolen, as Lars Sauschke hands over the trophy to Jeroen, first of all. Of course, his father, briefly a Formula 1 driver in 1977. And Luca Strolz there, and of course Jeroen and his brother Sebastian, a very, very quick racing driver. And the Bleekemolen family name, very, very successful in almost any category going. To the team goes the Satina clock, and that goes to Schubert Motorsport. Satina taking over from Blancpain this year as the named timekeeper. And so, as now the drivers have the Henkel Trocken at their disposal, it's celebration time at Spa.
Indeed, celebrations for the 1, 2, 3 on the podium. And well, the BMW Z4 doing a great job. And a superb ADAC GT Masters Race 1. Stand by, Race 2 to come up tomorrow. From David Addison and myself, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for Race 2 tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Congratulations to Bentley Motorsport.